check that out. See this fender? What's going on there? Some weird crevices and creases within that fender that just look sloppy. Hey YouTube, Untamed here. So yesterday Toyota announced their fix for the Toyota Tundra recall. So for those of you who don't know, there was a pretty large safety recall issued by Toyota for over 102,000 units. 98,000 plus of them happen to be 2022 and 2023 Toyota Tundras, the non-hybridized iForce Max versions of it, more the conventional Tundras. So over 98,000 predominantly Tundra. The remaining 3,600, 3,500 about was Lexus LX600s. So they had machining debris left in the engines as they finalized production of them, leading to this issue that we're finding. So a lot of people are having some rough idle, and some people are even having engine failure due to that engine debris. Right? So loss of motor power was ultimately the safety recall that was issued at the end of May this year. The problem was when Toyota issued that recall, they didn't really have a solution in mind. They didn't say, hey, here's the recall, here's the problem, and here's how we're gonna fix it. They said, hey, here's a pretty big problem that we identified for our 22 and 23 units, but we don't really have a fix yet. We'll notify individuals who own these vehicles come July, and they did. So they're doing that now, and now we have their solution. Their solution is, I do think this is the best thing they could have done. They are saying for everybody who has an affected engine, they are going to replace it. They're going to replace their engine entirely. They're not going to try to get in there and fix the main crankshaft bearing, which is ultimately the driving issue of it with that engine debris, but rather they're just going to do a full engine swap. And I appreciate Toyota for doing that, right? So they could have easily tried to make it a little bit cheaper on them, but this is a pretty heavy lift and a pretty expensive lift to do for over 102,000 units. So that's the fix, replacing the engines. I want to get your thoughts on it. You know, does this change my optic of Toyota, new generation Toyotas hitting the lots right now, hitting the market? Not entirely, right? I mean, I do think that Toyota has dropped the ball on so many of their new platforms. You know, the new Tacoma being a prime example of it. That's a pretty big disappointment. We're seeing transmission howling, transmission failure coming out of these new Tacomas right now, and that's a huge disappointment and such a black eye to such a notable, iconic truck over the years. This has always been the best selling pickup truck within the midsize segment over the years. But now, for them to offer a product with terrible quality control, transmission issues left and right on it, and a high astronomical price tag, that's kind of losing a lot of buyer confidence. A lot of Toyota enthusiasts are actually jumping ship, unfortunately, to Nissan Frontier, Chevy Colorado, Ford Ranger, Ranger Raptor. People are jumping. A lot of you guys reach out to me saying you're jumping ship, so I know it's happening, unfortunately. And I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that for Toyota, but that is the reality of it. But when it comes to the Tundra here, for them to offer that as their fix, to do a full engine swap, that is the best case scenario, I would argue. So I like seeing that. I don't love seeing the fact that it even happened. It's pretty careless in my opinion, and pretty out of off-brand for Toyota, right? Toyota has historically been very meticulous over the years, and they just would never let stuff like this happen. So I don't love that. But overall, these new generation of Toyotas coming out, the new LC250, the Land Cruiser Prado that we find with the turbocharged 4-cylinder, the 2.4, same exact engine that we find in the Tacoma here, but with the iForce Max, I don't love it. And even those are starting to have some transmission issues bubble up, which is super unfortunate and not good for the brand whatsoever when it comes to peace of mind and having a reliable vehicle. That's just not there anymore. This here, the Tundra, I don't like it for a number of reasons. And the least of which was the fact that we had the safety recall. If you've been following my channel for a while, I've been kind of meowing about this truck for quite some time. I owned one before. I owned a 23 Tundra TRD Pro, and I felt like it was missing something. It lost its visceral, raw truck feeling that it had. It had that 5.7 liter V8 before, tied to that TRD catback exhaust. It was such a raw, visceral feeling every time I drove it. It was a lot of drama to it. Obviously this one here, much faster, better horsepower, better torque, better towing, blah, 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 blah. It just took away from the driving experience in my personal opinion. Will there be people who love this? Of course. But between losing that drama that the previous generation Tundra had, having a terrible turn radius, a sea of plastic, and the huge price hike that this generation offered over the previous generation up to 2021 generation was just pretty disgusting to me. So for all those reasons, I still do not love the Tundra here. You know, I don't know if you can buy one with great peace of mind, because, you know, we have seen this issue. Will there be more vehicles affected? I don't know. Perhaps, right? We don't know. Is it going to be only isolated to this 102,000? Who knows? So, all this to say, I still don't love the new Tundra, but I do applaud Toyota for making the best possible decision to just do a full engine replacement to fix it, right? So that's hats off to them for that, at least. So let me know what your thoughts are. Would you consider buying a new 2024 Tundra? Because technically the 2024 model year is not in there, but I would still maybe wonder if they're going to be looped in later down the line. So let me know what your thoughts are. Appreciate you watching as always. Until next time. And real quick, as I wrap up this video, guys, sorry guys, I noticed it as I was walking away. I was walking away from this capstone here, which has an MSRP of over $82,000. They came down a few thousand. You can easily get 10,000 off these right now. But right here, I noticed as I was walking away, the light was hitting it. Maybe I won't even be able to show you well, but check that out. See this fender? What's going on there? Some weird crevices and creases within that fender that just look sloppy. And man, I'm not even showing it well in this video. But when I went down here, let me see if I can replicate what I just saw. When I went down here, I just remember looking up at it and being like, what in the world is that? So it's just, you can kind of see it there. Just pretty sloppy looking. It looks unfinished. It looks like a repair job, if we're being honest. And I'm sure it isn't. I'm sure that's just how it came from factory. But that's what we're working with nowadays. And that is $82,000. That is a mortgage payment every month if you finance it. I don't know about that. So anyways, just want to kind of include that in this video.